Hey.
I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself.
Hey.
I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself.
I hope y'all are.
I'm feeling myself.
Well, welcome back to another great conversation at our Meet the Team campaign here that we are happening at Simply Pure Trenton. Welcome, and most importantly, happy Women's History Month. Y'all saw last week, I know we had a few technical issues, but I'm stationed today, no worries. But we had the phenomenal mother of our very own CEO, Tahir Johnson. Miss Carolyn came on, blessed us, talked to us and walked us through her journey, what her background, how she was making history in her own right, and how she was supporting our leader, Tahir, through this journey. And today for our Meet the Team campaign, again, focusing on celebrating Women's History Month, we have some amazing, extraordinary women who are making history in their own right here in the cannabis industry. So before we get started, kick off and have a good time, let me introduce you to myself. I am Lynette Austin. I am your moderator for today's discussion. And I also have the privilege of being the head of HR for Simply Pure Trenton. We have kicked off this Meet the Team series campaign in February, first celebrating our phenomenal team members and how we are making Black history in the cannabis space in our own right. And you got to meet everyone that we've hired thus far. And then going into Women's History Month, again, meeting the phenomenal women who are making history in the cannabis space. So now let's take a moment to introduce you to our very first phenomenal guest. And you know I have music queued up. So without further ado, let's welcome Shanita Penny, our founder and CEO of Budding Solutions. Shanita's company is internationally recognized as a management consulting company on a mission to change both the perception of cannabis as a drug and the reality of the lack of diversity in the industry. Her innovative approach and commitment to diversity and inclusion are truly inspiring. Shanita, we are so blessed to have you.
I am so excited to be here, and I love theme music. I'm hyped.
Listen, I'm really a DJ in my side life, so please don't judge me.
No judgment. I love it.
Did you get the reference? Do you like, does it hit you?
Oh, I'm with it. I mean, we literally build it, we grow it, like we run it.
We do run the world. And like, speaking of running the world, happy Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month.
Ooh, tell me, how are you celebrating Women's History Month, and what does Women's History Month mean to you?
Oh my gosh. You know, I've been celebrating by attending a lot of awards and, events that are honoring women that have paved the way for, not only the work that I'm doing in cannabis, but then just also the work that has allowed us to have the lives that we have today, right? And, just like Black History Month, Women's History Month has been especially meaningful because there are so many things that women have fought for that, we kind of just were born into and just knew that as life. And what we've seen over the last several years with a lot of those rights that women and others have fought for being, taken away from us, having to continue to fight to maintain others, and then also identifying other places that we need to start a fight or continue a movement. So it's just been especially powerful this month to, again, reconnect, honor, and really just fellowship with amazing women.
Yes, Shanita, it's truly a pleasure. I know that right before we started behind stage, I was needing to just confess to you about me just always following you since meeting you in person way back when, y'all, like 2017, 2018 goes back to in person, and just seeing your journey, what you're doing in this space. I feel super blessed and super honored to be able to talk to you today. And of course, celebrate you and the work you're doing in this space. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure if you watched any of our previous interviews, but we do this icebreaker called This or That. And I'm sorry, but you are part of the team, honey. Okay, Shanita? We can't get to the next layer without, breaking the ice first. So will you play This or That with us?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So with and this and that, this or that, it's I'm gonna give you two choices. Listen, it's whatever choice you want, but you gotta stick to either one of the two choices I give you. And no judgment, y'all. Don't be judging whatever Shanita says. Okay. Now, before we have that, we actually have one more guest that just came on. So we're gonna get her to play with us, and y'all can play together. Does that work?
Okay, that works.
All right, let me get their theme song cue, because everybody got a theme song.
I know, DJ.
Stop playing with me. I do this. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can hire me if y'all want to, okay? But I do HR first. I'm just kidding. All right. So with this phenomenal woman, y'all, you might have already seen the promotion. But again, I get to work with her. She supports our legal department here at Simply Pure Trenton. And that is Miss Scheril Murray-Powell, Esquire. Put some respect. Scheril is a cannabis law expert, trailblazer entrepreneur, and the COO of the Justice Foundation. She is on a mission to secure a legal role in the industry for the pioneers who carried cannabis medicine through the years of prohibition and to create a single unified legal market for cannabis. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's give it up for the Scheril.
Hey, Scheril.
Hey, Shanita. Hey, Lynette. Sorry I was late to the party.
You're right on time.
We know you out there working, you out there saving
Uber was
somebody.
driving 2 miles an hour. I was like,
Thank you for
gracing that. A little late. Yeah.
Listen, we know you're out there saving lives. You were probably just collecting some coins, saving somebody from spending more coins. So never apologize for your greatness. Yes. Happy Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month to you both.
Yes.
Really
How
excited.
are you celebrating, and what does it mean to you?
Oh, I've been doing a lot of webinars and sharing my story. Again, we have intersectionality all around here. I'm Rastafari. I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman. All these things. So I love Women History Month for that. So I can kind of share all the intersectionalities that make me the woman that I am now. I am a woman. Hear me roar, and a lioness always roars. So I've been doing all the things. Yeah. What about you guys?
Listen, we're over here having a good time, right? Shanita was talking about how she's just constantly, again, just being empowered, empowering others. We're celebrating her and you. I'm celebrating live being with you all. It's truly a privilege. I get to work with Scheril as well through Simply Pure Trenton. But both of you all, I have followed you all's career since I've come into this industry, because you all were there before me. And so you are mentors to me in ways that you don't even realize. And so I am honoring Women's History Month by literally being in your presence and uplifting the great work and impact that you're making in this community.
I appreciate that, and I think Shanita will probably agree that the reason why we did all this work all these years ago was for people like you, professionals like you, to get into the industry and not deal with some of the, I'm going to say traumatic experiences, but the roadblocks that we encountered. So it is with much joy that we share this virtual stage with you, because a lot of us, or I would say Shanita and myself, we've been in a lot of rooms where we were the only ones, and we never wanted that. We were like, okay, I'm the first one. All right, I'm good with that. But I'm not going to be the only one, and we're going to work hard together to make that happen. So we met probably 2016 at the latest. So we've been on this, Shanita and I, so we've been on this, what we call in Rastafari a trod, or on this journey together for a very, very long time, between M4MM and then Minority Cannabis Business Association, and lobbying in DC together, and doing all things for many, many years. So it's with great love, admiration, and respect that I'm here with Miss Shanita Penny, who's, again, moved from state to state to state.
Come on,
doing this work. That's how the work is. It takes you, and I've done the same. It takes you from one state to the other, one jurisdiction to another. And then Lynette, with you, and really representing HR, and I have Cannabis HR Council near and dear to my heart. I have my HR management certificate, and I've always had this love for the people part of it. So the people are the heartbeat. That's why I say, HR is the backbone of industry, but the people are the heartbeat of industry. So how do we shield the people? How do we encourage them, empower them? So we always connected from that perspective on, the industry can only go so far if we don't have informed HR professionals who can really focus on optimizing performance while at the same time really making sure that people are feeling empowered and they actually get why we're here. And that the experiences that customers have in, other traditional industries where they're getting JD Powers awards, that is possible in cannabis too. And HR professionals will lead the way. So thank you for your work. I've personally witnessed what you do for Simply Pure Trenton, and it's phenomenal. You are a phenomenon for the work that you do, and how you really screen and make sure that you identify people who match the culture of each organization that you work with. You're really, really culture centric, as well at the same time being profit centric as well. So making sure that we are performing in the best way possible to make sure our shareholders are pleased, but we have fun. We're doing it at work. So
if we're not having fun, we're not doing it right. Scheril,
That's right.
you, right? Do we not? I just received that. Everything you're saying, like, first of all, the HR standpoint, like, you just defined it on what it's supposed to be and what it should be, because so many times that's not what it is. And people need to understand what that lens is. So thank you. Also, I'm taking away what you're saying is that each one teach one, right? Historically, it's come down generationally, but to see that now that's what you and Shanita are doing, right? You're opening the doors for other professionals, and specifically Black women professionals in this space.
100%.
And like, this is why we are so here to celebrate you all. But it's not just today, it's not just this month. It needs to be continuous, because that's the impact, right? Y'all wouldn't be where you are if it wasn't continuous. If you was like, I'm just gonna help someone one time, it's all the time. We have to be on and be phenomenal, fierce women all the time. So I will tell you, Scheril, I know you jumped in, just tabulate. We were just getting started.
I heard there's a game going on that I can't censor myself for, so I have no filter. So let's go.
Yeah, let's get to it.
I'm gonna give y'all both 2 questions, and you have to choose which your preference is. Okay, let's kick it off. Question number 1: do you prefer high heels or sneakers?
Sneakers.
Flats. Flats, so I'll say sneakers, but I'm not a sneaker person either. Definitely the heels. I'm past the heels phase of life.
I almost put heels, but I was like,
high heels life. I want comfort, so I can get from point A to B as fast as possible. I don't have to change shoes to go to the airport and have to go hike down all the different passageways, whatever. I'm just like flat shoes.
Let's go. Boots. But you can also dress up a good suit with some sneakers. Like,
absolutely.
Come on. All right, next one.
Especially now. Yeah.
Do you prefer to work out in the morning or evening?
Oh, morning.
Morning, 100%.
Morning, but I just got there. I'm gonna be honest with you. It is a 2024 intentional effort that I've been making, and I'm so proud of myself. It is the time for you in the morning before anybody can ask you for anything, and it's made such a difference in my life.
I love that for you. Love that for you. Your health is your wealth. And you can get a lot done in the mornings. Like, I take calls in the morning. Like, that's my time to check in on people that I missed the day before. And I start off my workout with the massage chair or the massage bed too. So that's where I start. And I'll be on the massage bed and I'm making calls and I'm checking email. And then I hit the little, all the different stops along the gym or whatever. But
okay, Scheril. Now I was prepared to take some notes because I know you drop gyms, but come on now.
The massage bed. Definitely get that black card for the massage bed and get some work done while you're on it. You got 10 minutes to get some work done. And then from there you go from machine to machine. And then you can still take calls on some machines and then tell them, I'm at the gym, which everybody's so impressed by. Oh, I'm at the gym. I'll call you back.
But you're also nice. You're right. You're in a good frame of mind. All your emails are just so softly written, but direct.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
You're talking about cannabis. People in the gym will be like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to listen to your call, but blah, 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 blah. And it's well, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Or I can help you with that, So it works out.
Okay.
I haven't mastered my breathing in that way yet to take a call and work out. So I'm going to maintain that that's
don't
my
have no
time.
asthma attack on the treadmill trying to get up to Cheryl's level.
No.
Okay, there's layers.
My cardio doesn't happen at the gym. My cardio's on the subway.
Got it.
Up and down the stairs at the subway. Yep. That's where I get my cardio. I do not do any cardio at the gym. It's only machines and free weights.
Okay.
The massage chairs. Okay, next question. The color, which color do you prefer? Pink or red?
Pink.
Red.
All right. This one might be difficult. Do you prefer Beyonce or Whitney Houston?
Oh, Whitney Houston was my Beyonce.
Has to be Whitney.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll say Whitney.
100%. Like Beyonce's a great entertainer, and nothing against her. She's just I love her spirit. But Whitney's voice, she was the voice. Like she was the voice. And then Beyonce can grow into becoming where Whitney was with regards to the talent piece. So she's talented as a well-rounded overall entertainer and more scandal-free, I would say. But Whitney was the voice. Nippy was the girl next door attitude. She was all Jersey all day, all the time. She really was a reflection of us we needed to see. And then she was like, the national anthem, I'm gonna remix that for you guys real quick.
Ooh, the best one ever. I think Beyonce would probably say Whitney. Like, let's just be real, right?
100%. 100%.
If you could only get one of these done professionally, which one? Hair or makeup?
Hair. They always overdo the makeup for me.
Hair. I'm going with hair.
Yeah, the makeup there's always too much of it. I'm just like, I can't.
But a good face though.
A good face is good. But hair, hair. It's the crown.
Yeah, and the hair can last. The makeup will never last longer than a day because you're gonna wash your face. But the hair, you can keep your hair done for a little bit.
Lipstick or lip gloss?
Lip gloss.
Lip gloss.
Good answer. I got another hard one for you. Oprah or Michelle Obama?
It's Michelle Obama for me.
Yeah, I feel like Michelle Obama is she's very well-rounded. She understands different in her life. She's been at different socioeconomic standpoints. She's very relatable. She's brilliant, but she doesn't she allows her man to be brilliant as well and say we're both brilliant. Like it's not like a competition. I love that about her. She lifts him up. But
all Oprah's done though.
Grounded.
The impact made.
Yeah, Oprah, I just don't have as much visibility to her personal life. I know she has a lot of friends, and I know she does a lot of great philanthropy, and I know she has her Stedman. But I think I have more of a peephole into the life of Michelle Obama, where I can see who she is from a speech perspective. Again, yes, I would say because I love giving speeches and kind of fine tuning my approach to them. So Michelle Obama also was very inspirational as far as public speaking. I'm doubling down on Michelle Obama.
Y'all had a lot of alignment.
Matchy.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing, Lynette.
What's that?
Is that y'all had a lot of alignment.
We always do. We always have. Yeah.
I had done the icebreakers with multiple people at once before, so this was quite fascinating. All right, I have a last question for you all.
Okay.
And that one is truth or dare?
Truth all day.
Dare.
All right. Cheryl has truth. You'll go first, and then Shanita, I'll give you your dare.
Okay.
Cheryl, your truth is, can you please share a significant moment in your career that you believe has contributed to your success and impact in the industry?
A significant isolated moment that has contributed
to your success.
Oh, that's a really good question. I haven't really thought of one isolated moment that has contributed to my success. I'm trying to think of people that I've met who may have inspired me. I think the moment that I think changed my career is when I like realized, this is probably around 2018, early 2018. I was like, I'm tired of Cannabis 101 all the time. I'm tired of every single conference is like, this is your endocannabinoid system. And then, I was just like over it. And I said, that's what I don't want to be. And no matter where I speak, I'm going to speak in modules. And I'm going to speak in a way that people will want to quote me. And I'll speak in a way that if there's like short clips of what I'm saying, it can still make as much impact as if they listen to the whole speech. And that, I think, when I had that realization moment, I think it was right, like maybe a couple days before I was supposed to speak in Sarasota at this conference. And I was rolling off to Detroit CannaCon and going into Sarasota. Between those two stops, they were like one day apart. And I said, I'm done with the Cannabis 101. I'm done with this is how I got into the industry. I was like, no, I'm going to actually be teaching people. And from that moment, it changed my whole pattern of speaking. It changed my engagement with my audience. It changed my memorability, and it changed how many people wanted to request for me to speak, because they were like, I haven't seen that before. And it was a very simple shift, but it did change the entire course of my career.
You leaned into that, right? They were tired too, and they needed to hear. And most importantly, they were ready to hear.
They were ready to hear. And it's about differentiating yourself and not being, hearing the same thing from every single person. And we're so, everyone has their distinct attributes and their story and their history. We need to be more authentic when we're coming to the stage, and not really try to anticipate, well, I want to make sure that this person will hear me, but really about, where's the industry right now, because it is an evolving industry. And how can I be really, transparent and naked and vulnerable and again, authentic in this message that I'm giving, so that it stays with people and it makes them want to do something different than when they walked in. And that was the revolutionary change. It's like, you're gonna walk out with at least one action item. There's a call to action in what you're about to hear. And that changed everything for me.
Come on now.
That's a great question. No one's ever asked me that question. That's a really good question.
And no one's ever going to forget that answer, y'all. Okay. That was so powerful, Scheril. Thank you
very much.
You're not getting away. Don't worry. You know that question. We're going to key it up for you later as well. But you did choose dare.
I did.
Your dare is, look at this. She's like, I should have went with truth. We would like for you to sing the chorus of your favorite song ever.
Favorite song ever?
Oh, God. Y'all been
all right. Well, I'm going to get into a little Whitney Houston.
Give it to us.
And this is I'm Every Woman, because it's Women's History Month. And it was just such a powerful anthem. But sing though, I need a mic. Okay.
I can get, you want me to get you some backup?
Yep. Cue it up like karaoke.
I got you. And you said the Whitney Houston one. All right.
Yes.
You got this.
I'm going to speed it up. Here we go.
You will baby, I'll do it naturally. Wait, that's not even the chorus yet.
But you know she know this. Hold on. Here we go. It's a long song, isn't it?
Back when songs had all the 4 or 5 good minutes of music. Every woman, it's all in me. Anything you want done, baby, I do it naturally.
Give it
okay,
up.
that was good.
Baby, that was good. That was good.
That was good. That was brave. That was brave and good.
Thank you. I love karaoke. So, I mean, it's usually a little bit like I've loosened up some.
Yeah.
But hey, y'all, I'm with the girls.
I love
No,
karaoke too, so we have to do that one day.
Well, I have a good place for when you come back to DC.
Okay.
done.
Excellent.
Cheryl, we're going to meet a Shanita
I might be
there.
there Sunday.
We have to do it. We have to do it. Okay, y'all, thank you for playing that with us. Like, I feel we know y'all a little better. I know it's just preferences. We know Shanita can sing. Like,
Oh,
Yes,
well, thank you.
absolutely.
all right. Okay. We know when Cheryl knew that moment where she unlocked that key of leaning into herself and said, I'm going to trust my gut. And that opened the door and fueled her to keep on. So, like, you know what I mean? All right. We want to go a
Absolutely.
little deeper. Shanita,
Yeah.
I'm going to start with you. Please tell us a little bit more about your background and what's your story and how you got into the cannabis industry.
Thank you for that question. I love telling my story because when I first got into the space, I told my story a lot. And depending on the room, depending on the audience and the platform, you know, people took pieces of it and used it for, you know, what served them. And I think that's the next step for me is actually telling my story in its entirety to this day. I mean, it's gonna, Lord willing, keep going. But I'll start out teenager, cannabis for the first time, never looked back. In hindsight, I started consuming cannabis way too young. I know better now, but it's never held me back. And I've always just appreciated the plant. Fast forward, even with great parents who kind of led me, you know, down the right path and taught me how to avoid, you know, certain things. I still ended up getting arrested for cannabis possession in Maryland before I was even interested in the cannabis industry. You know, in a profession where, you know, that might be frowned upon. But for me, it was an inconvenience. It was a, you know, I have to spend money on a lawyer instead of doing something else I want to do. But it didn't have the impact that I saw it have on so many people, so many people that look like us specifically, but just so many people in general as well. And so having navigated the expungement process and our, you know, legal system, when it came time for me to get in cannabis, I couldn't just think about cannabis as a business. I couldn't just think about, you know, oh, the industry. I was like, I have a lived experience that should be informing policy and the way we are reforming policy. And so in 2013, Maryland passed their medical cannabis law. And in 2015, the program went live. In those 2 years, I found my first client. It was just a matter of watching what was happening and, you know, understanding how I was going to play. Cheryl hit on it earlier, you know, professionals, especially the Black women. I have been an advocate for us getting in where we fit in from the day I jumped in. I've always said we have such amazing skill sets and passion, but this industry wasn't friendly to us. These opportunities weren't the things that were going to serve us in a meaningful way. And then there was also just this angle where we were being exploited. And so going through the process in Maryland was eye-opening for me. And in 2016, when the Minority Cannabis Business Association launched, I quickly joined, but I was invited to the board and led that organization for a few years. And it was there that I really extended myself in a way that I had never done before. I'm the type of person that likes to go figure things out, go learn, and then pop back out. And what I was learning needed to be shared in real time. And so I had to share the failures. You know, I went 0-2 in Maryland with that first round of applications. You know, 2 years later, having the opposite outcome with going 2-0 with both applications for cultivation and manufacturing as well as dispensary. It let me know I was going down the right path, but I certainly would not have been successful in Pennsylvania had I not joined that organization and took on the leadership role that I did because we helped inform Pennsylvania's process. Come on. A lot of people, you know, that weren't familiar with the cannabis industry and the movement said to me, hey, you need to figure your thing out first before you try to help others. And I'm like, yeah, that applies in some scenarios, but not here. Too many things are happening that need to be shared so that they don't continue happening from state to state. We can talk about the application and licensing process. We can talk about policy development, but certainly what was happening in the industry as well. And so, all of my corporate experience in supply chain management, all of my project management experience were the things that I brought to this industry. And, walking into some of those rooms where I was the only one, or there were a handful, I knew that it was going to be me telling my story and getting out there that allowed other folks to say, oh yeah, I would love to do that. Or I could see myself doing that. Oh, that's not so bad. But I never wanted to paint a picture that wasn't realistic. I never wanted to be anything other than my authentic self. And I'm just really excited about, again, telling this story and continuing the journey.
So, Shanita, right in there, stay that your transparency, what you feel. So here we are, right? Fast forward now, you're the CEO founder, right, of Budding Solutions. Talk to us about some of the strategies that you employ, right, to change that perception of cannabis as a drug and promote the diversity in the industry.
It was keeping it real and telling the truth. I have been a long time cannabis consumer. I've also been, I've also excelled in my career and I mean, again, going back to starting to use cannabis at a very early age. And I had a full academic ride to North Carolina A&T. There wasn't anything that held me back. And so I think one of the most important things I did was kind of lead with, oh, yes, I am a cannabis consumer. I'm the consummate stakeholder, right? I'm not talking about criminal justice reform because it's cool, or I heard it's, the hot topic of the day. It's because I've lived it. It's because the people in my immediate family and circle have lived it. I come from a community that was impacted. I don't go out here and advocate for and develop model social equity policy because it's cool or hot or trendy. It's because I navigated the application process with some of the, most resourced, politically connected business professionals and still failed, right? So if they are having, I won't even say issues, if they can't win, we certainly can't. And then I just think that in terms of what people think of when they think of not only cannabis consumers, but now our industry, I have to just show up every day and ensure that, the preconceived notions and stigmas that people have formed and perpetuated, that we're able to tackle them, by showing up to one meeting, one hearing, supporting an organization, and, just being a responsible consumer and somebody that's not going to let up.
Oof. Okay. Absolutely. Scheril, speaking of that, right? I'm getting the advocacy coming through with Shanita, that passion that's fueling her work. You do this on a daily. So before we get into it, because I want to talk about how you balance that advocacy and entrepreneurship, especially within your role at the Justice Foundation and the HR aspect of things, right? Because it's passionate. We are doing civil rights, as I say, in the workplace. And so tell us first a little bit more about your background and what your role was to the cannabis industry.
Yeah, I had loved listening to Shanita because I don't think I've heard her backstory, her origin story, as they say in comic book land and with the superheroes. So it was great to hear that. I started consuming cannabis when I was 17. I went to college a year early. I was 17 years old, started consuming, and I felt like it was a breakthrough for me. But besides that, when you have ups and downs, especially during Prohibition. So this is definitely during Prohibition, and you're made to feel like this is wrong, this is horrible, this is not, you don't want your parents to know, you don't want all these different people to know that you consume cannabis. But yes, so we don't want people to know you consume cannabis. So with sorry. So this is a very much family house. So yeah, no, exactly. You don't want people to know that you consume cannabis. And then when I changed universities, went to another school, and I became an RA, right? And then again, I had been a cannabis consumer. And then I remember a moment, like I was just thinking, what Shanita was talking, I was like, what am I going to share that I haven't shared before? And I was an RA at Florida Atlantic University, and I had a freshman group of students. And I remember one time I smelled cannabis on the floor, and I was like, "This is like wee hours in the morning," and I literally knocked on every door, got everyone up, and I was like, "Listen, you're not allowed to do this." Blah 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 blah, and had like this whole meeting at like 2 o'clock in the morning. That's just to demonstrate what the war on drugs, the stigmatized cannabis, how bad it can be. Keep in
Your
mind,
old classmates are following you right now going, I remember when she was yelling at us.
100%. They probably are. Exactly. No, so I went from like a consumer my freshman year to being an RA couple years later to being like, hey, this is not okay. You can't do this, etc. Having people like sitting outside their dorm doors. And then after that, I had a legacy phase where my partner was, hustling whatever. And that was, what was going on, and he got deported. So then I went to the other side again. So it's really been a back and forth relationship with cannabis to, going to law school and just being like so afraid that anything would ruin my chances of being admitted to the bar for character and fitness. So I had nothing to do with cannabis during law school and things like that. I had a career in wireless, 14-year career in the wireless industry where similar to Shanita, there was, project management experience and, corporate governance experience and things like that I feel contributed to where I am right now. But beyond that, fast forward past the bar, graduated law school, passed the bar, and then started practicing in the same areas that I helped the lawyers at my firm, right? So probate, estate planning, etc. And it was just not fascinating to me. And I was just like, it's just not me. I'm not going to say it was boring because there are fascinating aspects of estate planning and things like that, helping wealth management, etc. But it just wasn't me. And then, there's a hurricane weekend, I prayed and all these things. And then God was like, look at cannabis law. And I didn't know that existed. So then I started Googling and it really existed. And it was happening right then and there in Florida, 2016. And then I approached my firm. Long story short, they sent me to my first event. And then second event, I was speaking, and I've been speaking ever since. And that was like my journey. Yeah. And then I got to go home to Jamaica as well. So I'm Jamaican, first generation US. And I got to speak at a conference in a Canex conference in Kingston in May of 2007. I want to say May of 2017. And again, I'm up there with the Minister of Justice, on stage with the former Minister of Justice who actually changed the Dangerous Drugs Act, Mark Golding, and now he's leader of the PNP party. So literally a return home for me to Jamaica, where my family's from. My grandmother, she was a cook for Treasury. It's not like we came from, a lot of wealth in Jamaica, to be in one of the most prominent hotels on stage with the Minister of Justice. So that was another impactful moment for me. And I started doing work in Jamaica as well as doing work here. So I was always in back and forth kind of things. And then through Jamaica, that's what led me to ASTM International. So now I'm on the executive board for ASTM International's D37. I chair the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion subcommittee, but I started ASTM because I became a part of the Bureau of Standards for the country of Jamaica, their committee. And that's how I got the connection with ASTM, because they were developing their standards for the country of Jamaica. And that's how I got involved with ASTM. And now I'm still involved with ASTM. So just a little bit of the backstory there, but I know you have more questions. But it's my first job. First job in cannabis. My first job in cannabis was general counsel for minorities for medical marijuana. I did that for the first 3 years. We had no funds to do anything. I remember when we had 75 followers on Facebook, and we were like, "Gosh, when are we going to get to 100 followers?" Roz and I would have those conversations, and we were just all over the country, or even going to Tallahassee stuff in Florida. So that was my first, advocacy job. My first paying job in cannabis was being general in-house counsel for Green Road CBD. And I did that for probably 2 or 3 years. No, I would say 3 years I did that. And Sunflora Inc. came after that. So all the Your CBD stores, growing that that company from a few stores to over 1,000 stores and 4 stores in the UK and things like that. So that was kind of my journey, besides the advocacy of like going from state by state, testifying, mobilizing community. If there was an arrest for CBD or hemp in a state, I would fly out there and work with the local council that knew nothing about hemp or CBD or anything, and be defense counsel, supporting local counsel. So it's just a lot of different experiences, which was very exciting for me.
That's incredible. I mean, so diverse within your background. When we think even the legal sector, right? All the different type of legal counsel provided for the different entities within the industry. Now let's talk about where you are now with the Justice Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit more about Justice? And also notice it's spelled JUSTUS. Justice Foundation, and the balance, right, between your advocacy and entrepreneurship within your current role.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Justice Foundation is an organization. It was founded by Steve D'Angelo, so I can't take credit for the spelling. There was no logo when I started. There was no website when I started. It was just, we have this concept. We want to help legacy guys, and I got hired to lead the organization to help people go from the legacy industry to the legal industry. So with that responsibility and the timing of how things were happening in New York, I really had to reflect on, how am I going to make the most impact in the time that I'm in this role? Because I've always I'm a transient. I pretty much start things, get them to where they're self-sustaining, and I move on, and I leave a diverse group of people behind me. So I knew it was more than just, talking to people and saying, hey, you can do this, rah, rah, rah. It was going to be like a, roll your sleeves up type of role. And I was here for it. I went in there, and I always refer to it as my season of service, because it was literally, again, taking a huge pay cut, yanking my kid out of school he wanted to be in, and out of the state he wanted to be in, out of the support of my parents being in the same state and things like that. And just really being super committed to that legacy community that I knew so well. One, my legacy history was very impactful, which I didn't talk about until I started working with the COO. I'd never mentioned it. And then, two, being Rastafari, we are legacy. We are legacy because it's our holy sacrament. So everything we do as far as our faith-based practices, our liberty, is illegal until until you have your religion is basically illegal until you have legalization. So that's another part of the motivation of legalizing, is like making sure that my community is safe. So my approach was definitely to look at, yes, this is the legacy community, and really having to make peace with when I can't stop advocating for diversity, but keep in mind and be cognizant of the fact when you're advocating for legacy, there's a distinction in the class of individual, because a legacy operator, the main distinction between social equity and legacy is the fact that white males may qualify for legacy, whereas they're not typically in the social equity unless they have an arrest. So it's really being very intentional about making sure that, yes, we are widening our approach to things, but we want to make sure that the efforts that I make are for those who deserve it the most, regardless of their background. So in identifying legacy operators, I had to go where legacy operators were. And that was a whole lot of fun. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. I had pretty much a uniform. I wore black jeans and blouses everywhere I went for the 2 years I was doing this work, just to be like very covered up and very, cognizant of it has to be about the message, and it was always about the message, like, you deserve it. We're going to just restore your dignity and respect. A lot of things were taken from you. You pay the price. that other people are benefiting from. It's happening now. So rev up your engines, be aware. Because when we say go, it's go time. And we're going to be, if you can't be found, we're not going to help you with your application. So you need to stay in the loop. And then also there's an expectation that you're telling other people. So that was like the messaging for me was I'm not going to be able to touch everyone, but I had to build that trust first with like a core group of people. And then from there, say, you need to evangelize. If you're doing this just for yourself, I'm not going to have time for you. If you're doing it so you can learn, so you can help other people and bring other people to me, then I'll make all the time in the world for you. And we had that understanding. And then from there, it's like, so you create the awareness, you create the trust, and then you're kind of waiting for, application season. But at the same time, there are things that you can do. So you can, start setting up LLCs, minority business registrations, and listing other organizations in the area that do these small business service things, but they may not be cannabis organizations. So we work with the Harlem Business Alliance, we work with Brooklyn Business Center, and things like that. So building those relationships in that waiting period before the applications start. Then when applications start, it's just hot and heavy applications all day. Like I barely spoke at events. I was just, unless it was like accounting for the cannabis industry or something to help them with their approach to their applications. But like I turned out all speaking gigs. And then it was just applications, working on people's applications, getting them to come back in to finish because of investment. Like we're almost there. Just you didn't hit submit yet. Come back.
It's a full cycle, Scheril.
Yeah.
Y'all, let me just pause right now because I don't think you all just heard what Scheril just laid out. I mean, it is full cycle from the outreach because people think, oh, I just go out and tell someone. The outreach steps that you just laid out, Scheril, in regards to awareness, getting them to identify, getting them to understand the hesitancy that people naturally have of going, I just got locked up to this for XYZ years, all this thing. And now you're telling me I should just jump back in illegally. Like it's not always as accepted and receptive as people may think. Then to lead them to opportunities and go, let's go through the process. This is how you need to fill this out, right? You do apply. We get there. Now additional resources to get all of this done. And then getting the license, right, is like, oh my goodness, amazingness. But hello, Scheril also has the tools and the background, as we just know, to be able to support legally and from the HR standpoint, build out their team, help them get operational, bring in the right people, get the right funding. I mean, full cycle, laid it out from beginning to end. And if you are watching and going, well, how can I support this industry? If you couldn't find yourself in supporting in somewhere from that full cycle that was just laid out right here, then this space isn't for you. That's what I'm trying to tell you right now. Okay.
And then you need to donate, right? So that's the hard part. That's the part. It's like, I'm not a fundraiser, but in order to keep this going, this ecosystem going, we have to fundraise. And that's the thing that really, turns me off is like, you see the work that we're doing, right? But you'll spend more on your bar tab than you'll spend on, donating to a nonprofit. Don't say you're an advocate. Don't invite me to no legacy stuff when you have not given any funding to the organizations that worked on legalization, that lobbied, even going back to when Shanita Penny was in DC in 2016, 2015, hoofing it. And you can't give as much as you spend on your bar tab or like a meal at Olive Garden or a meal at, Cheesecake Factory, even though people don't want to go on dates there, but whatever, wherever you're hanging out, you say, I love Cheesecake Factory. You say, I'm going to skip that. And why don't we skip that and go to the grocery store and give that money to the Justice Foundation, give that money to MCBA, give that money to Minorities for Medical Marijuana. I will respect that more than the people who are just look at advocates as workhorses. And I've been speaking up about this because I've been doing it for so many years. It's like, no, I see you. I see the fact that you're waiting for me to do this work so that you can come in and make money. It is not okay.
Nope.
It is not okay. And I see you when you want me on your stage, dropping knowledge to people, and then you're paying, you have all these, this high price ticket, but you don't want to compensate your speakers. It's not okay. So we need people to do right. We need people to say, all right, I made this amount this year. Let me give 2% to the industry, to the people who are working in the industry to get us here. Because when things start reversing on them, they're like, we're the advocates, or who, then that's when you get the call, right? Or they have to do their community impact plans. And Shanita knows I'm telling the truth. They have to do their community impact plans. And then that's when they want to reach out to the nonprofits. Oh, I want to do a community impact plan. Or they want to pay for, directly the things you need and not think of how the organization is going to operate. Right. So I appreciate all donations, but please don't be disrespectful and think that you cannot give us actual money to utilize to actually pay our accountants, to pay our admin staff, to pay for our train tickets, our hotels and stuff, when we're doing this work for industry, very sacrificially. So I am here to really talk about that. And when others can't, because I have this other job, which is being a lawyer, which I have a lot of privilege around that. So because I have all this privilege, and there's some people who are just advocates, they don't have maybe formal education, but they love the plan. And if they don't get funded through these nonprofits, how are they going to live? How are they going to eat? And we have seen a lot of our friends over the years, and Lynette, I'm including you on this, leave the industry, even though they love the industry, because they can't figure out how to eat, how to make things balanced.
Correct.
And they're fierce, and they've done all this work for us, and we're just like, too bad, so sad. And I don't like it.
What y'all need to hear and understand is that you have no excuse not to be a part of this industry. And if you're not, again, being that resource, you can be a resource, aka an advocate, by investing, right? Exactly. 1%, 2%, a meal, it adds up. Go to the Justice Foundation, research, right? And if you need some help, you can reach out to Shanita and Scheril, and they will help you and redirect you to where to spend your money and invest. But no, that's real. And that's how we're going to be able to continue to get the work that Scheril and your team is doing if we don't continue to invest in the communities that are reinvesting into the work you all are doing.
Yeah, you can go to our website, www.justus.foundation, justus.foundation. And I also want to elevate the work that I've seen Shanita do on the, from the congressional side. The people that Shanita gets an opportunity to work with, and they have her trust. She's earned a whole lot of relationship currency and trust for her work in DC, being with Congress people and really showing them another side of people who consume the plant, people who make money from the plant, people who are legacy before. So, I really want to highlight as well. While I'm sharing my story and my advocacy and how hard I work, I also want to uplift another Black woman who is, she has to put on her armor, which is her fly suit that I've never seen her not have a fly suit on. Her fly suit, and go into DC, into these traditional systemic spaces and humanize us. And she does it so well with such elegance. And I appreciate you for that.
I appreciate you. Thank you. It means a lot. And it really goes back to what you were saying during my time with MCBA. I personally fully understood that people are going to give you money for one of a few reasons, right? They want something from you. They want you to not do something. And I had to say no to a lot of money. And but it also positioned the organization for sustainability. And so when we talk about, Simply Pure's leadership now leading MCBA, this is full circle, because when I met Tahir, through a mutual friend, it was like, hey, listen, I am moving in 20 directions. I am stretched way too thin, but if you want to rock with me, we're going to make something happen. And so it's been about people that are going to roll up their sleeves. And no, I can't guarantee that everybody's always going to get paid, right? But what I can do is make sure that we are creating opportunities for people to get in where you fit in. And I just think it's an amazing testament to the work that these organizations have done. M4MM, MCBA, a lot of these organizations, they're doing it. They look big. They have an amazing presence, and we are doing it right on a shoestring budget. At best,
no budget.
Yeah. But Black women, we always find a way. But speaking to those relationships, it was because I said no to a lot of things, right? People, you only get one chance to mess everything up, right? And I've built from organization to organization these relationships. And regardless of the organization I'm going into, I'm always Shanita Penny. I am always about Black first. I am always about people first. And it's something that is undeniable.
And it shows in all that you do. Shanita, shout out to all of our nonprofits that are out there doing that work. The list is endless and they are tired. I mean, it is just, Scheril, you touched on a lot, right? And I also want to go back to, again, what she laid out so clearly within the cycle, right, that needs to be done. And so leading us all the way up into getting that license. And Shanita, you spoke on it earlier, right? Over 2 originally. People think, okay, once I get a license, the challenges are over. And that is clearly not the case. We have been in this industry long enough to know. So I want to talk a little bit from that point where, how do you stay motivated and resilient through all the challenges that you faced from once you did get the license, right? Oh, yay. But then the hurdles that come through that. How do you stay resilient? Talk to us a little bit what those challenges were, what the setbacks may have been, and how you continue to face them and just push through those adversities.
Yeah, that's a great question. After going 0-2 in Maryland, I just had to sit with myself and feel all the feelings, right? And reflect and take every personal and professional lesson that I could learn from the experience and get my mind right to be able to apply it going forward. And so I'm never going to tell people that this is business, it's not personal. Oh, when you spend months of your life preparing an application and you know you've given it your all and you don't have a chance, you know you're competing, but you're not really competing, it'll break your heart. And if you don't take it personally, why are you here? What are you doing? So I took those lessons learned and I moved to Denver, Colorado. I needed to be in an active market. I needed to be in a place where I could actually see what it is that I was going after. Mm-hmm. Now, the application and licensing process was completely different in Colorado, the original, right, legal state to legalize, versus what was happening on the East Coast at the time. But being able to just be in Denver is beautiful. Being able to be in Denver, work with clients, work hands-on with the industry, lead MCBA, it boosted me. It brought me back. And so flying back and forth to DC and Philadelphia to Denver, I think I was just running on pure adrenaline because I don't ever desire to move the way I moved in the earliest years of my cannabis career.
You still tired.
I'm still tired. Scheril, you talking about telling people no during applications. I'm just telling people no. But yes. What really motivates me are the wins, and you got to celebrate them. You have to hold them up. I protect my energy at all costs because it does take a lot to go into some of these rooms where they really don't care about something major happening in the world in that particular day. And you're there to talk about cannabis. Meanwhile, and I'm going back to like Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. I was showing up and the first thing I would say before we talked about cannabis was, arrest George Floyd's murderers or Breonna Taylor's murderers. Like they had to understand that I am not, this person that comes in and I'm talking about cannabis and nothing else matters to me. So keeping, your emotions in check when you have to, but also just being able to be real and feel and pull yourself away when a situation, a company, a client, a partnership, when it's not serving you. And walking away, I think, has saved me a lot of times. But no, it's prayer and a lot of the ancestors, right? Because this is 100%. A civil rights movement and issue. The other thing that really motivates me is being able to find intersections, being able to talk to health equity champions or economic justice champions, even environmental justice champions, and find ways to talk about cannabis in a meaningful way. For folks that don't care about cannabis in our industry, but understand that the legalization of cannabis and the ever-growing industry, how it's going to impact some of these other things. So I really look at legalizing cannabis and regulating it the best way possible as a way for us to achieve so many other goals as it relates to making people that have been oppressed by prohibition, not the plant, by prohibition, whole. I just pray that I stay this motivated because we have a long uphill battle still in front of us. I want to see several more, companies that I founded go public or be, or have successful exits. I want to see organizations like MCBA continue to grow, and people that I remember when they just said, "Hey, how do I get in the industry now?" Lead. So yeah, I'm mad motivated. I love cannabis. So I have to make sure we get it right.
Yeah. At this point in what you're saying, right, it shows through what you are saying. Like your light and you just smiling through that passion and what you do and why you do is there and is undeniable. And that's why you are sustaining in this space. That's also why you're so true to yourself. Like you said, I'm going to show up unapologetically. You think you got me here for this. Here's what I need to say to you first before we're going to get to this next thing, right?
Since I'm in this room.
Since I'm in this room anyway, here we go. But, I say that because people think that you don't need that to sustain. You can be in it for just a short period of time. You can work in the industry, but if you are not passionate and have true community to the roots, okay, no pun intended, to what this industry really is, which is community and passion, and what this plant historically has done for us, both positive and negative, then you're not going to be able to make it through this very volatile situation, because that is where we are, and the battle is not over, okay? There is so many mountains that we have to climb, but we have to be unified, and so your passion's undeniable. I was going to say, I know we lost Cheryl. I'm hoping she comes back. It might be some tech issues, but Shanita, I told you weren't getting off. You were going to get the same question as well. So I'm going to throw it to you, right? Share a very significant moment in your career that you believe has contributed to your success and impact in this industry. And I know there's a lot, right, that you can pull from. But if you were to pull out at least one of those single moments that you're like, this absolutely has contributed to my impact and success thus far, what's that moment?
I think that moment, one of those moments for me was early on, my grandfather being diagnosed with cancer again. But at this point, he was in his late 70s and he knew he didn't want to do chemo and radiation again. And I've been kind of quietly working on cannabis stuff for a couple years, but I still didn't, consume cannabis in front of my grandparents. Now, I know in hindsight that our parents and grandparents and our elders are so much smarter than we think they are. So they were hip to me, but I wasn't going to just be all in their face with it, right? But
there's rules.
There's rules to this, right? So I went out to Denver. I got some medicine. I talked to some, amazing experts, and was able to bring some medicine back to my grandfather. And I remember even just teas and edibles, I would have it with him to show my grandmother that, this was safe. This was safe for me. And I was enjoying it from a wellness perspective, but this was safe for him. And, his appetite improved. He lived several months longer than they expected. And his quality of life was so much better. And we bonded over this. And so now, I would go to visit him and I'm just telling him about what's happening with Maryland policy. I'm telling him, the brick walls that we're running into in Congress, and he's just all into it, and he's benefiting. And my grandmother is watching this, and she was probably my biggest opposition. So you just gonna give up your good job and this is what you're gonna do with your life? And it was the reefer and security. You never call it cannabis. And so the turning point was not only being able to help her take care of my grandfather, it was also another uncle or another aunt or family member calling me up saying, hey, I heard what you did with your grandfather, help me out. That was the boost I need. And so when I'm talking about my folks praying for me, they saw firsthand how important I was going to be in this space and didn't let me forget it. My grandmother still has some skepticism, but I'll never forget it was the Essence magazine coverage of Black women in cannabis, and you know, Essence magazine that's it in a Black household, right?
Everything.
My grandmother
Everything.
calling everybody. Shanita is in the Essence. My granddaughter's in Essence. Yeah, talking about her reefer, but she's in Essence, and I could tell she was so proud. And so when I have tough moments, challenging moments, or somebody wants to challenge me on this issue, I don't claim to be an expert in every lane, but guess what? I know the experts. And yeah, you just can't take that confidence away from me. And I'm so grateful and thankful that I had that experience before I lost both my grandparents. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to always go back to that when I need a little something to get me through.
That is so beautiful, Shanita, right? When you see, because everyone learns differently, what that moment was to see that click for your grandmother to go, I accept it. And I now know for her what level my granddaughter has made of success. Like, that is.
Yeah, I love. Oh, sorry, Lynette. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was just going to say, I love when you said, you know, she knew how important I was going to be. That in itself. Because when your ancestors know how important you're going to be, and it may be as simple as that one's special. They may just be saying that just to mark you, just to stamp you. No indication you're different than anybody else, but they're like, that one's special. And then from then on, you just believe you live in that. You're special. Right. You're going to be impactful. You're going to be powerful. You're going to change things. You are a change agent. You are a trailblazer. And you've lived that ever since. I love that.
Yeah, it really is special because when you think about how tough the world can be on us, you know, if you aren't coming from a space that and surrounded by people who will pour into you while I'm out here, you know, on the road. And I'll tell you, you know, my time with MCBA, sometimes I felt like a therapist, sometimes I felt like a business advisor. You know, you played so many roles. And it takes a lot out of you. And so it's amazing to find women like both of you and some of the other amazing women in our professional and personal circles and also in this space. It's amazing. And it's so important for me to be that for someone else as well.
Ooh, so speaking of, y'all both know you're going to have to speak to this one. So, Scheril, we're going to start with you and kick it off to us. And audience, please put your questions in the chat. We definitely want to hear from you all as well. You have two amazing, phenomenal expert women here. But Scheril, kick us off with
three amazing, phenomenal expert women here.
God bless you. Thank you. Three, and I'm happy to answer anything as well. But talk to us, and we'll, again, going to both of you all, but Scheril, kick us off about how you use your platform, right? You all have a huge platform of success that you have a track record of, but how do you use that to inspire other women, right? Being intentional, and especially women that look like us, women of color, to pursue their dreams to come also into the cannabis industry.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really great question. I mean, use of my platform, I'm always trying to figure out how to better use my platform. So one is these, encouraging words. I use my platform to give encouraging words to other women so that they know that they are seen and that they're powerful, and that despite me being, maybe in the media more or on stage more, I don't think I'm any better than them either. So I use my platform to make it clear that I'm accessible, I'm approachable, and I'm your sister, and I'm here to support as well. I use my platform to elevate Rastafari because that is very important to me. It's very important to my life. His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I is an example for me. So I always use my platform to, if I can, to elevate his wisdom. And he did a lot of firsts too. So His Imperial Majesty, as far as joining the League of Nations, the first African country to join the League of Nations is Ethiopia. And after being attacked by Italy and Mussolini and surviving that and being successful, it really is a story. It's a cautionary tale as well, that if you don't speak up, if you don't demand equality, you're not going to get it. People are going to co-sign with the oppressor unless you speak up and make it clear and appeal to their higher man as far as how unconscionable their behaviors and the people who are in leadership, those behaviors are. So being able to stand up and call a spade. That's how I use my platform. Again, because I have that privilege. So because I have that privilege, I have great responsibility because I'm a lawyer and I don't really have to work for anyone ever. I give thanks for that. I'm very grateful for that. So I can say more than some of my peers can say. Using my platform to elevate women and the realities of being a woman, using my platform to elevate mothers, because I am a mother. Shanita knows that Black Caucus was on the dance floor. My son's walking around, but he knows, like, when he becomes an adult, he'll know that's what you do. You go to caucus.
That's right.
That's what you do. Like, if you're a professional, if you're an advocate, if you're trying to lift up your culture, your people, your race, you go to caucus. And we caucus and we talk about issues that are very important to our culture. And that's just something that he's going to have to pick up the mantle for and do. So he's not going to know anything other than caucusing, protesting where necessary, sacrificial separation from your families to do good elsewhere. That is how he is being raised. So I use my platform for that. So mothers know that I can see them. And when we're talking about, community reinvestment, I use my platform to try to get funds to people who ordinarily don't know how to speak up for themselves. So some of the things that I'm advocating for, in New York and New Jersey did a great job. They have their equity conversations happening this week. Shout out to the New Jersey CRC. They had conversations Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I apologize. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week, talking about community reinvestment. And what I'm talking about is, like, I'm not only raising issues that are going to help put money in the pockets of Justice Foundation. No, I'm talking about, hey, we need Metro cards for teachers.
Right.
What a beautiful story would that be if, cannabis dollars go to help teachers get to work and not have to take out of their own personal budgets because we know they're already underpaid. Those are things we advocate for. Childcare for cannabis essential workers. Why do I advocate for that? Because I'm a mom. And when I was in law school, I was a mom. I had a 9-month-old in law school working 3 jobs. But what I also had was family support. What I also had was I knew my son was safe when I was gallivanting all over the country for cannabis, for this plan. And my parents were like, you went to law school to be a weed attorney. Okay. That's so Cheryl, right? Yeah. But I could do that because I had that family support. I knew at every point that I was in, whatever state I was in, my son was safe. And I believe that there's a lot of talent in our industry. You may start out as a bud tender, and then if you can go to school at night because you know your child is safe, then you can get a new opportunity. Or if you can go to that networking event or the educational event because you know your child is safe, then you can get that next opportunity. So those are the things that I use my platform for. Again, Rastafari, but also, the next phase is when we do have federal legalization, making sure that we're not just reunifying families here in the United States and getting people out of prison, because that's very important. But what about the people who've been deported?
Correct.
What about the people who've been deported and their kids have been victimized and vulnerable because their parent who loved them was sent away? How do we reunify those families? How do we prevent that separation of families from happening now? And one of those approaches that I advocate for is using some cannabis funding to pay for legal counsel for those facing deportation in our times for cannabis. So they finished their bid and now they're facing deportation because it's federally illicit. Well, we can't change that it's federally illicit at this point. We're working on it. But what we can do is give them money for good lawyers so they might get a chance to stay. They might get a chance to stay and be a unified family. Some of the people who are deported, they've never lived in the country from like 2 years old. You got to go somewhere you've never been since 2 years old and find a job and find a family member who even is willing to take you in. Like it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy.
Breaking up families. And the fact is that people don't realize, here we go. what you're doing in your platform in cannabis is way bigger than you can ever imagine.
Yes.
Thank you, Cheryl. Shanita, I have the same question for you, right? Your platform, definitely your track record of success. How are you using that to inspire women and especially people who look like us as they pursue their dreams to come into the same space that we're all in?
You know, just like before I transitioned into the cannabis space, I am about tapping Black women and Black talent. Like, it's go time. I know some of the most intelligent, progressive, and forward thinking women. And so it's very easy for me to pick up the phone and say, hey, this is what I'm working on. You want to get in? You know, the legal and having the legal background and being a lawyer, I think is such an opportunity in this space. There isn't a single thing you can do in cannabis without a lawyer. You know, if your angle is policy and changing that, you need a lawyer. If you are, you know, heavy into the business and entrepreneurship, you're going to need all the lawyers. You know, from a regulatory compliance perspective, it is just so important. And so for me, it's about helping people understand where they fit in this puzzle. And so many times, you know, folks think they're coming into the cannabis industry and they're going to be a cultivator or they're going to run a dispensary. If that's not where your heart is, your passion and your, you know, your talent, you need to think of something else. And it's important, again, to tap into these, especially healthcare, economic, all the things that we are focusing on for our community in general. Being able to intersect, connect the dots, collaborate with, you know, successful historied movements is where I like to do my work and leverage my platform. It is about being able to go to the National Urban League. It's about being able to go to the NAACP. There's so many hearts and minds that we still need to change within our community to have our like full power realized. And I think that that's how I've been able to leverage my platform. And that's where I'd like to continue to leverage my platform. You know, being able to go talk to HBCUs, being able to get, you know, some of the programs. I mean, I remember just dreaming about A&T getting involved. And now you've got Southern and FAM and just and Morgan and so many of these illustrious institutions. So again, I'm here to leverage it in the way that I always have, but I'm also open to what is going to be necessary in the future. You know, we're about to go into what will probably be a very, at a minimum, distracting next several months, right, leading up to this election. And, you know, even when people don't want to prioritize us, we have to stay the course. We have to continue to talk our talk and walk the walk. Yep. So that's what I'm gonna always do. I'm not even just like extending my platform and lighting torches because I refuse to pass the torch. I heard that several years ago, and it reminded me of like how young I am. And it was like, yeah, I'm not when I was leaving MCBA, like, pass the torch. I was like, yeah, I'm not passing the torch, but I'll light yours. But I'm open to what sharing my platform looks like in the future, because I know that we are going to have to be creative. We are going to have to rebrand some of the things and efforts that we have been working on for years. We have to get smarter about what we're asking for. So radical collaboration is how I am leveraging my platform now and into the future.
Listen, y'all done heard a whole word and a sermon in today's interview. Like, y'all weren't ready for it. I'm trying to tell you. I hope you really were, everyone, taking notes, because the gems and the key takeaways are real. I'm going to kick it off with what I think the top highlight and key takeaway that everyone needs to be, and it's something also that Cheryl spoke about, is get involved, right? Be a true advocate of whether you are rolling up your sleeves and doing the work, but most importantly, we all can turn around and invest and give some money to justice foundations and Marijuana Matters and Minorities for Medical Marijuana. I mean, the list goes on. NYCA. I mean, like, Google it, reach out, talk to us, but get involved and start again investing and fueling these organizations that are doing the work. Because as you can hear, that these phenomenal women are truly leveraging their platforms in more ways that just benefit themselves. It benefits the industry, the community, and beyond. And so I applaud you all. I so appreciate this meaningful conversation, the insights, the advice, the vulnerability, a little bit of fun too. You know what I'm saying? We got some singing and some preferences. We hit a lot. Please let everyone know how they can follow up with you. What's the best way to keep in contact with you? Scheril, let us know, and then we'll close out with you, Shanita.
Yeah,
And
I always
as well. Sorry, I'm not trying to, you know. Oh, we might have just froze. Scheril, did you freeze? Okay, she might. Oh, you're gonna have to come back, Scheril. Sorry. All right, Shanita, you give us any final words as well in closing, and then also how can we keep in contact and continue to support what you're doing at Budding Solutions and more?
Oh, sure thing. I'm going to double down on get involved, right? Don't talk about it, be about it. I think one of the things that I really want to encourage people is that the industry that we know today is not the industry, that will be 5, 10, 20 years from now. And so, be open to being flexible and understanding that the thing that brought you into the industry may not be the thing that, you stick with. One of the things I'm always so excited to see are like the evolution, the trajectory and growth of individuals in this space. And, people will say, oh yeah, last time you saw me, I was with this. And I'm like, yes, congratulations. Great. You're still here. Don't give up. Right? It's a long road. It's a hard road, but we will get there together. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. And if you really need me, get to me. Find somebody that knows me and email me, text me. I am here and I want to support all of the work that we're all doing in every corner of this country, in every corner of the world.
You are. What's the IG handle? How people find you on IG?
Shanita Penny _.
Y'all, please connect, support. I have to ask you, right? We're in the essence of Women's History Month, and we talk about opening the door for others. Shout out some of your mentors, the women that have opened the door that you feel, whether in cannabis or not, but would love to hear that.
Absolutely. I mean, in general, I look at the movers and shakers across industries. I've been in cannabis so long, to be perfectly honest with you, that I didn't have a lot of mentors that looked like me in cannabis. I had to go outside, and I think that's another reason why I've been successful. And so it ranges from, my personal board. My personal board includes folks that I went to school with, that I've worked with. And then within this industry, some rock star women that have motivated me, inspired me, and have played the role of mentor when I needed it. They are folks like Wanda James, moving to Denver very early on in my career. She allowed me to get some of the realest from her, advice, watching her move and shake in Denver, seeing her around the country and understanding that she is exactly who she is all the time.
Shout out to Wanda, who's supposed to be on today, but she's flying.
And it's so important to be that. It's so important to be that. I look at young women like Hope Wiseman and think about, us coming into the Maryland game at the same time, having a chance to work with her at the earliest parts of both of our careers. It's so many to name. Like, just shout out to Black women in cannabis.
Shout out to Black women in cannabis. Extra shout out to Hope as well, Wiseman, who also, I was telling you, Shanita, earlier, she was one of the award recipients for the women in cannabis.
Nice.
Just still killing it. Amazingness. Of course, Wanda James, founder and owner and CEO of the Simply Pure Denver, the first Simply Pure, the first Black American to have a dispensary in America. Just history on top of history. Amazing shout outs, right? Just people truly paving the road. I feel quite inclined as well. I'm going to add to, and maybe if Scheril, you come back, we want to hear from you too. But if not, we're going to have to pick up and have you do a part 2. But I have to first shout out was my mom. So funny story with me, the first time I ever consumed was with my mother.
Yes, I love that.
She taught me, she was like, you got to go to college. You will learn this. I want you to experience for the first time with me. And that this first is a plant and you need to look at it as such. And I want you to have this first experience. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But you need to know what this is. And so we were in a legal setting. She took me to Amsterdam. My first time wasn't even with flour or combustion. It was a hash brownie. And if y'all, a hash muffin, if you hadn't had a hash muffin, I'm trying to tell you right now, you don't know what you are missing. But it was such an amazing experience in bonding. Not only did I feel and know that I was for the plant for more than one ways, and I'm such a proud patient, but to have that first introduction to cannabis with my mom helped me approach it in a way that when I hear all these terrible negative stigmas, my heart breaks because I can't relate from my own personal experience. It was embraced with me, with my parents, specifically my mom. Khadijah Tribble, like we know her, major player in this space, has been a major mentor. So I have to shout her out for Women's History Month. And of course, Wanda James. I mean, like it's Wanda all day, every day. Exactly as Shanita says, you're going to show up authentically every single time. What you see is what you get. And we need that very much like you, Scheril. So we're about to close up and we want to know how people can keep in touch with you. But before we go there, you got to shout out in the essence of Women's History Month, some of your mentors and or women that have paved the way for you, both in cannabis or out.
Yeah, definitely. No, I appreciate that. And I think there's some people that I don't know that, well, one person I've met once, like I met Maya Angelou for a brief moment, but I've always loved her work. So when I was like starstruck and I didn't say what I wish I had said at the time. I was working in a museum when I was at Emory University. It's the Michael C. Carlos Museum on campus. And she was speaking and they put me in the bottom of the dungeon area, but I didn't know that's where they would be bringing her in. And then she came in and I was just done. And she's like, would you like my autograph? That kind of thing. But just seeing how she moved through space, she, being friends with James Baldwin, being an activist, being an author, having gone through trauma, survived it, being a dancer wherever she could. I really admire her. My mom, strength to strength. Always, even though she's not on the cannabis side of things, but she's encouraged me and, it shakes her head sometimes with, some of my shenanigans, but, there's so much love in every action. So I appreciate that. I'm going to shout out Roz McCarthy as well, because we've been on this road so long together and we're like sisters. So, we're not always on the same side of issues, but we always respect each other. And it's always like a reunion when we see each other. So definitely appreciate her and what she's been to the industry overall this time. And trying to think of some other women. I mean, again, we already spoke about Michelle Obama. Again, the journalists, I respect women journalists. I respect women artists, because sometimes we forget that progress happens through journalism. Progress happens through art as much as it takes place with advocacy and legislative work. So I just want to shout out all the artists that have contributed, the female artists that have contributed to capturing this time in history, capturing the essence of our culture, even when it was prohibition, the suffering of Billie Holiday, for just her freedom, singing Strange Fruit when, she knew she'd get arrested after that every single time, just to say, you people in the South, I see you, and what's happening there is not right. So there's so many women in history, Kathleen Cleaver, that I admire, that, Betty Shabazz, the list goes on and on. Empress Menen, the wife of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I. So there's so many people that I admire, and it's my friend circle, because when you're and I consider myself to be kind of like a quirky, awkward Black girl, nerdy, and the people who have stayed my friends over time. They get me, they understand me, we laugh together, and we heal together. And I think that's what I'm most grateful for, is like the people who are very authentic. They treat me the same regardless of what's going on, what magazines or whatever, what accolades are going on. They treat me exactly the same. They love me for who I am as a person, and they will give me correction. And I think, love comes in the form of correction. I think that's what I'm most worried about for this more recent generation, is that I'm finding that it's not easy for them to take correction. I think maybe it's because we're older, or I'm not saying we're old, but I'm just saying maybe because we're more mature. Correction is a form of love, and especially in this job, especially in the advocacy space, you need to be cognizant of how you look. You need to have people around you who'll be like, your slip is showing. Your slip is showing, or this is going on. So
this generation don't even know what a slip is, Cheryl. You gotta explain.
I know, right? I am from the slip generation, or at least your mama making you wear slip generation. It's not a personal choice, but you had no choice. What was that, Shanita?
I still own 2 slips. I mean, if the
you're gonna wear it this Sunday on Easter too.
Hello.
Okay.
Of course.
Wait a minute. Cheryl,
not you half slip, full slip.
You reminded me of something so important that I overlooked when I was thinking and shouting out the women. With the news of Representative Barbara Lee retiring, we cannot leave this space without thanking her for the work that she's done, without thanking Shirley Chisholm for being the inspiration that she was for her. When you said the arts and media piece and went down the Billie Holiday path, I was like, oh wait, I gotta say something. Yes. It was amazing to have Linda Green as a mentor on the board of MCBA, to teach me how to move in those rooms with our people in elected, offices, but also just with any elected official. And to your point, Linda Green has been someone who will say, Shanita, your slip is showing, and it is done with love. There are other people that, in my opinion and my experience, don't have the credentials to correct me, but have taken issue with some of the things I'm done. So, that goes in one ear and out the other. But Linda 100%. Green with love, whether it's felt like, motherly, aunt, sometimes just a sister, that is a role that she has played for, I know, a lot of us in this space.
Yes. Linda Green. Yeah. We love you.
That's big for me. That's what's big for me. Like the real, true, authentic people who just love you, and they're happy to see you win. And then when they'll be like, skirt, come, let's step aside. Let's talk about this. That's what I live for, because I want to be that for other people. And I want to be like, no, take my place on stage. Let me sit here and clap for you. Let me watch you and clap for you. And then I'm going to give you some notes afterwards. And it's from a place of love. I'm not saying I'm better at it than you, but really, because you're taking my place, and I want that for you. And then you're going to, light someone else's torch, as Shanita says.
You keep it going. Keeping on. Sure, people keep in touch with you.
Oh yeah, on Instagram at Virtue and Victory. So Virtue, letter N, Victory. That's me personally. At Cannabis HR Council, doing a lot of great stuff in HR with our other HR professionals like Lynette. So at Cannabis HR Council, and the Justice Foundation is at Justus JUSTUS.Foundation. So many ways to stay in touch with me. Look forward to hearing from you guys. Look forward to seeing you in locations all around the world as we continue to fight for this plan and the people who love this plan.
And we look forward to everyone's donations and advocacy as well. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. Again, for your vulnerability, your transparency, but most importantly, what you are doing for all of us. Tonight has been quite fulfilling for me. So check. You are continuing to build your legacy. You have poured into already one Black woman who is on here with you all. So I know there are many more, and people who aren't a Black woman also benefiting from so much knowledge that you all shared and poured into. everyone watching, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're watching it live or rewatching this as a rerun, again, continue to shout out the amazing women in your life who are making impact in this space, in this industry. And we hope that you continue to tune in every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out next week. Our CEO, Tahir, will be on interviewing a very special guest as well. So more to come. Again, always 7 p.m., our Meet the Team campaign. Ladies, thank you. And above all, happy Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month.
Happy
Thanks
Women's
for
History
having me.
Month.
Thank you.